Hi, my name is Sammy from My Screen to Yours. In this week's video, I'm going to be talking about all the dramas and movies that changed my life. So I did a poll on my community tab asking you guys what video topic you'd like to see, and this was the most voted on. I think I'll probably do that more in the future because it's just fun to see what video ideas you guys are most interested in. I decided to include movies because ultimately movies are a big part of what I enjoy, even though I don't talk about movies on this channel. Who I am today, a large part of that has been shaped by the movies that I watched over the years. I wanted to discuss shows and movies that really made an impact, and a lot of dramas, although I do love them, I wouldn't call them life-changing, so that's why I decided to include movies. If you're only interested in hearing about dramas, I will have them all in chapters down below, so you can just skip to the next part. So we'll be going in the vague order that I saw them in to really get a sense of how I became the person that I am today, what my tastes are, how they developed over time. First off, probably you might have heard me talk about this before, but it is the K-drama Jewel in the Palace. I talked about this recently. The story is basically about this young woman. She's very hardworking and resilient. She grows up in the palace as a kitchen maid, and it's about her journey overcoming a lot of hardship, people being nasty to her. This was the first K-drama that I ever watched, and I remember it was playing on TV, Chinese dub. At the time, I was probably maybe 6 years old or so, so that made me a similar age as the protagonist in the very beginning when it shows her as a young girl as well, and I'm sure that was a big part of what really connected me to the show. Besides that, even when she's older, the protagonist is just very charming. You really root for her because you just see her working so hard. Honestly, I was pretty obsessed with this show, and it's still one of my top shows, and I mentioned recently that I think it still holds up, even though this was, I think, made in 2003, but I think even if you watch it today, you won't have any issues. Yeah, for some reason, one of my cousins had a hanbok, which is the traditional dress. I don't know why, but she gave it to me. I mean, it's not like I wore it all the time, but I definitely did wear it, and I would practice bowing like they do and tie up their stuff in a handkerchief. Obsessed. Next, the first movie is The Princess Diaries. This one is played by a young Anne Hathaway. She suddenly learns that she is the sole heir to this kingdom, becomes a princess overnight, basically. If I had to pick a childhood movie, I would pick this one because I remember always borrowing the VHS from the library. There's also a sequel. I liked the first one, but the second one was always my favorite because I liked the romance. I think this was just the fundamental childhood movie for me. One that probably shaped me or is more relevant to my taste today is Spirited Away. If you've never seen this classic Studio Ghibli movie, it's basically about this young girl. She's with her family in this forest, and they go through a tunnel and find themselves in a fantasy land. She has to work and figure out how to find her parents and turn them back human because they turned into pigs. This one I have a very strong memory tied to when I first saw it. I was probably early elementary age when I first saw it with my parents, and for some reason the no-face character made me really uncomfortable, and I spent the second half of the entire movie hiding under a sweater or something, and I was sweating my ass off under that jacket, but I refused to come out. That first watch was low-key traumatizing, but it quickly became my favorite Studio Ghibli movie of all time. I've watched it so many times. It's a classic. I love Studio Ghibli movies. I've seen most of them, but it's definitely on my to-do list one day to eventually watch all of them. Some of my other top favorites would be Castle in the Sky and The Cat Returns, but if you're also a Ghibli fan, I would love to know which one your favorite is. Next up is the movie Inception. If you've never seen Inception, it is about Leonardo DiCaprio's character who uses this technology to infiltrate people's dreams and commit corporate espionage espionage. The concept itself is super unique and interesting, and I still think it's one of like the coolest concepts ever. The idea of like entering someone's mind and planting ideas in their head. Captivating from first watch. So captivating that I actually watched it again within a few days, which I don't think I have literally ever done since or before that. That was like the only time. It was just like instantly, this movie is so good. And it's still really good. And I think this was really sort of the beginning of my interest in these sort of like sci-fi kind of movies. Probably this was when I started watching K-dramas in like late elementary, but I wouldn't say a lot of them are life-changing or honestly like that good. I just like watched a lot, which is why this section is more like movies. But the next one that had like, a big memorable impact in my life is Mad Max Fury Road. It takes place in the post-apocalyptic world where our protagonist named Mad Max stumbles into this cult-like community, and he follows a group of women who are trying to escape that community and find an oasis out in this desert called the Green Place. I remember I was in the theater watching some other movie, I don't know, but before that movie, the trailers were playing, and I saw this movie's trailer play, and immediately I was entranced by the sharp visuals. There's crazy action, but also you kind of feel like there's an emotional side to the story as well. Just so much tension. This world was so new and creative. I knew I had to watch it in theaters, so I did. It did not disappoint. I've watched it numerous times since, and every time it's still so much fun. It's just so entertaining. It's like the perfect action movie. I don't think any action movie has come close to its level since. Next is just generally the Star Wars franchise. Sort of in late high school, I would say, I started watching a lot of movies. All the Lord of the Rings movies, all the Harry Potter movies, other classics like The Godfather, Shawshank's Redemption, that kind of thing. It was also when I watched all the Star Wars movies for the first time. I wouldn't say there was one particular movie that really had a super strong impact, although Rogue One is by far my favorite. I've rewatched that one the most, and it's so good. It just made me a big Star Wars fan, and if you see my room on the other side, I literally have like 4 Star Wars things hanging. Yeah, a lot of the newer Star Wars stuff is like, yeah, and honestly I haven't watched most of it except Andor. Next, another sci-fi. Clearly I love sci-fi, which I don't really get a chance to talk about on this channel because sci-fi dramas are rare and don't really have the same sort of complexity or impact as sci-fi film or Western shows, I find. But anyways, next up is the movie Blade Runner 2049. This is the sequel to the classic Blade Runner from back then. It takes place in a post-apocalyptic world where humans live alongside android replicants. Our main character hunts down certain replicants, but then one day he discovers this secret that could change their society. At this point, I was already a big fan of movies and stuff, so I was excited for this to come out, and I watched it in theaters. The experience was amazing because the visuals is the best cinematography that I've ever seen, and still to this day, it was just a visual spectacle. It also had so many themes, and the story was also rich and suspenseful, so it's not just aesthetically nice. I've only seen this once because I feel like it's a waste to see it on like a screen that's not gigantic, but I'm really hoping that next year for the 10th anniversary it'll be back in theaters briefly, which I will 100% go watch. I already liked the director Denis Villeneuve because of his earlier movie Arrival, which is also one of my favorites, but after watching this it really solidified that he is one of my favorite directors, and we will be hearing about him again. Back to the drama side of things, 2020 I believe, I watched It's Okay to Not Be Okay. I don't know if it's like super rom-com, but there's definitely comedy within the romance, but it's a romance between the male lead who is this caregiver working at a psychiatric ward, and then our female lead who has antisocial personality disorder. I was so obsessed with this during COVID times just at home, and I remember I would just look forward and wait eagerly throughout the week for those 2 episodes that would drop. I just thought their chemistry was really good, and the story was also interesting and not as kind of like generic as a lot of other rom-coms, I guess. But I also also really loved lltg as an actress, and she plays the female lead. Her in this role was super iconic. That definitely made it a really good K-drama. I mean, I don't know if I can rewatch it now, but it's still one of my favorites of all time. Next up, this is like kind of random. This is not like life-changing, but I'm just adding it in that Startup. I'm only adding it because I hate watched this drama, and I don't think I've hate watched anything before and probably will never again, but it was just fun to hate watch at the time because this also came out when we were all just sitting at home and I had the time to waste watching something shitty. It was also fun because I would just rant with my friend afterwards, talk about how much we hated the male lead. Next up is the K-drama DP. This is a drama about military police that catch deserters. This one is a mostly somber look at the army, and definitely look up trigger warnings beforehand. This one was just probably one of the darkest and very realistic, tragic dramas that I've seen. It's very good, especially season 1. I think it's just one that it just left like a strong impression afterwards. It's one that I think about every now and then. Highly recommend it. It won't be for everyone. You kind of have to be ready for it, you know? But if you are, then I definitely recommend checking it out. It's on Netflix. The last movie that I'll talk about, the most recent movies that had a huge impact on my life, is Dune franchise. If you don't know what Dune is about, it's about our main character Paul and his family. They move to the desert planet Arrakis, where this spice melange is produced there. He navigates growing up, family, destiny, politics, power, lots of themes going on. The Dune novels are like some of the most highly regarded sci-fi fiction of all time, and so I had already been interested in the series before the movies came out, and I was watching a lot of like lore videos just because I like watching lore videos. When my favorite director, Denis Villeneuve, was adapting the books, of course I was super excited. The movies did not disappoint. In fact, they're my favorite movies of all time, especially the second one. I've watched both of them numerous times in the theater, especially my first time watching Dune 2 in theaters. I watched it the very first night that it came out. It was like a fan screening, I think. It was just the energy of being in that theater, the IMAX theater, where you knew everybody was a huge fan and really anticipating this movie. Like, we literally all basically stood up and clapped like at the end. I don't think we stood up, but everyone like clapped and cheered at the end because it was so good. Like the best movie theater experience I've ever had. I'm excited to say that Dune 3, I will also be watching it. It's not a fan screening per se, but it's literally the first night that it's coming out. So I'm expecting us all to stand up and give a standing ovation again. If you haven't seen the Dune movies by now, low-key, what are you doing? But also go watch it. I would say to just wait because they'll probably replay it in the theaters like the earlier ones before the third one comes out, in which I will once again be watching them in the theater. There's just too much that I could say, which is why I'm not going to go that much into detail, but I just love these movies so much. And lastly, we'll go back to the drama side of things, the one that has most recently changed my life, and that is the C-drama Love Like the Galaxy. Just vaguely, the plot, it's a historical romance between our female lead, who is very smart, bold, she doesn't let others bully her. The male lead is this cold general who's actually a sweet guy, you know? This drama is literally what started this channel because I watched it and it was so good that I had to talk about it on the internet. It was also the first C-drama that I ever watched, so it truly opened my eyes to this world of C-dramas that I'm now addicted to and obsessed with and can't stop watching. I've always liked historical dramas, but I've only seen historical Hong Kong dramas or Korean dramas. These C-dramas just be hitting different. Yeah, if not for Love Like the Galaxy, maybe I wouldn't even be yapping on this channel today. It's still my favorite C-drama that I've seen thus far because the impact that it had on me and the grip that it had on me while I was watching it. I would rewatch the scenes over and over. My favorite ones, I have a list of like my favorite scenes in one episode, so if I feel like it, I can go back and watch. Yeah, the soundtrack, I still listen to that just in my daily life every now and then because it's that good. That was all of the dramas and movies that have shaped my life, made me who I am today. I hope this was fun, just getting a bit of insight on what I've liked over the years. I would love to know what kind of of shows and movies have shaped you. Yeah, I just think it would be a really interesting topic to read about if you guys comment down below. Thank you so much for watching. I hope my rambling delivered if you were interested in hearing about this video topic. I'd love if you subscribe to join my small drama community, and I'll see you in my next video.